Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about The Mummy 2017. I'm going to get this right out of the way. I'm going to get there's a lot of reasons to not watch this video or any of my coverage on The Mummy, and I'm going to give you guys some eject buttons just in case you don't want to see the following type of content. This is a very negative review. My review of The Mummy 2017, in summary, it is a 0 out of 5-star movie, specifically for the way it treats two female primary characters, which are Amanette, the mummy herself, and Jenny Halsey, the archaeologist. The way this movie portrays women in a 2017 film looked to me the way women were portrayed in the movie Cobra in 1986. And I am shocked that could happen. And so, having seen how this movie portrays women, I cannot in good conscience suggest that anyone sees it. So, one, it's a negative review, and I'm aware that I really tried to find opportunities to fill the video streaming services of the internet with positive content, and this is full-on negative content. So just giving a warning there. It has major spoilers for the film, giving a warning there. I go full social justice warrior in this video because I was personally offended with the way that women were portrayed in this film. Both of the primary female characters in this movie, Amanette the mummy and Jenny Halsey the archaeologist. I was offended multiple times. Okay, all right. So just giving people eject buttons if you're not into seeing negative content, if you're not into hearing social justice warrior content, if all of those, and if you won't want to hear spoilers about the film, all those are good reasons to move on to other content. So sorry, it's just where we are at today. All right, I also want to talk in this video and say this movie's problems come from the way it addresses there are two primary female characters in the film, Amanette and Jenny, and they are the whole problem with the film. Okay, but the things that are wrong with these characters are so voluminous that I can't cover it in one video. So I'm going to break those in, how they address Jenny and how they address Amanette, into two separate videos. There'll probably be a little crossover in each, but I just wanted to give you a context. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so The Mummy is about Nick Morton. Nick Morton is an antiquities thief. Okay, he's an artifacts thief. Right, he steals historical artifacts from all over the world and sells them on the black market. And by the way, this is the hero of the film, the person we're supposed to be rooting for. Okay, and then Jenny Halsey is a learned archaeologist. Okay. Then Amanette is the mummy herself. She is an Egyptian princess who was killed and who was mummified and became dead, and now is an evil. She has evil within her, and she is a malevolent force, supernatural force, and literally a mummy, like who can walk and has superpowers. Okay, or supernatural powers. That's the best way to put it. There is also Sergeant Vale. Sergeant Vale is the sidekick, okay, of Nick Morton, the artifacts thief. Real quick, let me just talk about who played who. So Nick Morton, the artifacts thief, is played by Tom Cruise. Amanette, the mummy, is played by Sophia Boutella. Jenny Halsey, the archaeologist, is played by Annabelle Wallace, and the Sergeant Vale, the sidekick, is played by Jake Johnson. Yeah. All right. All of the acting in this film is really exceptional. It's exceptionally well acted from all four of the people I just talked about. But I would say particularly Sophia Boutella. There's not a bad performance in the film from an acting perspective. But I thought Sophia Boutella did an exceptional job. She just absolutely owned her role, and I think really kind of redefined what a monster is, really, really very, very interesting. Okay, and I also think Sofia Boutella, more than anyone else in the film, really, really transcended the material that was written for them. Okay, it was cinematography in this film, the way the cameras are used, how it's shot, the lighting, the sets, all of it fantastic, extremely well done. Yeah, and so, okay, now the writing, that is the problem. The way the women are written in this film really makes it so the film is really inaccessible. It's inaccessible to serve as a foundation for the dark universe or to serve as a fun popcorn movie. It's so offensive, in my opinion, that it can't stand as a functioning film, right? I don't intend to ever see The Mummy again. I really feel it was just functionally offensive. That's the best way to say it, okay? All right, so let me get into why I was offended by the way women portrayed in this movie. Jenny Halsey is shown to us. The first scene that Jenny Halsey comes in, she's in Mesopotamia, a long, long distance from Egypt, where she has gone to find Amenet, this historical figure in Egyptian history. Now, Mesopotamia is physically separated from Egypt. Okay, now now we're told that Jenny Halsey painstakingly researched Amenet, built a map to find where Amenet's tomb actually was outside of Egypt. And then, when we are introduced to Jenny Halsey, she is shown talking to Nick Morton in front of a U.S. military official, right? Like a general type, right? And she says, "General, this man, Nick Morton, me and him were recently romantically involved. He tricked me and he stole my map to where where Amenet is, right?" So right out of the gate, we're told this woman is a learned academic professional, right? An archaeologist. But same old story that her heart overwhelmed her head and she fell for a bad boy. This is in the first 15 minutes of the film, and this is how we're introduced to Jenny Halsey. And I'm like, this isn't 1986. This isn't Sylvester Stallone protecting Bridget Nielsen. This is 2017, right? And this is how the main female protagonist is introduced. And I was just stunned. Like, you're making sure that her credibility is swept away in the introduction of her character. And I was just like, this is shocking that this is still happening in 2017. Now, the reason why I'm really, really frustrated by this is there's no excuse for it, right? And the reason why is 2016 and 2017 have had 3 distinct films that have shown us what should be happening. Actually, I guess it goes back to 2015, The Force Awakens. So the last 3 major films that have, modern current films, which is Star Wars Force Awakens, Rogue One, and Wonder Woman, okay? All 3 of those movies were coming out and should have ensured that the way that a female villain and a female hero are portrayed in this movie is going to be correct. And the reason why is, all right, so The Force Awakens is a $2 billion film. So there's only 3 $2 billion films in the entire history of cinema. That means that if you are a studio executive, if you are a writer, if you are in charge of the story of a $100 million plus blockbuster like Mummy was, you had to have seen Star Wars Force Awakens. It was, that's required viewing. And the reason why is every studio executive, when you're making a blockbuster, you want to be aiming for $2 billion. That's the mark now. That is the Hollywood mark for a blockbuster. That's why franchises are launched, to make $2 billion or more, right? Okay, that's the mark. And so when Force Awakens made $2 billion, it forced every industry executive to see it. And in that movie, all of them saw the following, right? They saw Finn going and grabbing Ray's hand continuously to sweep her off like a damsel in distress. And Ray said, "Hey, stop grabbing my hand," right? Well, since every single studio executive saw that, that was a calling card to the entire film industry that the days of the damsel in distress story are done. Like, they ended in 1986 with Cobra. Those stories can no longer be told in 2017. It is not functionally viable for an American blockbuster to present a traditional damsel in distress, and certainly not, okay, and when they did that in 1986 in Cobra, where Sylvester Stallone plays literally a mirror-shaded police officer who carries dual submachine guns, right, and is protecting a helpless, literally a model, right, and drags her around the film, grabbing her hand and saving her throughout the film and becoming romantically involved with her, right? When people reviewed that movie in 1986 and said, this is really stilted, right? This is 2017, right? Ray telling Finn, "Stop grabbing my hand," is a note to every single film executive. The days of the damsel in distress story are finished. They're not going to be told anymore, period, right? Then so now we know that Hollywood is calling, that the culture is calling for strong female protagonists, right? That's been marked. Then Rogue One comes out. They do a whole bunch of releases and they show a female protagonist that's so strong, right? Which is Jyn Erso, that they had to dial her back and rework the film and change up how the film was advertised. And so they're again, this is another billion-dollar film, right? This is a billion-dollar film saying, hey, okay, if you overcorrect, here's how you manage that, right? And then Wonder Woman's been being built, and this is the death knell for the Mummy. This is the absolute death knell for the Mummy, right? You are bringing out a damsel in distress story that would have been considered stilted in 1986, right? A week after the world has just watched Wonder Woman, which established how the superhero female genre will successfully be moved forward, and which has probably single-handedly saved the DC Cinematic Universe a week before Mummy's release. Like, honestly, I think they should have shelved this movie and pushed it out and reshot it after they saw what happened with Wonder Woman. Like, it's just so shocking how, like, all right, okay, so let's get into it, right? So, I'm just stunned at how bad the women are treated in this. So, the introduction of Jenny Halsey is bobbled, like, terribly. Then, like, and it's a drumbeat. This movie is a drumbeat of insults to women. It is just a constant, like, just a drumbeat of insult against women. I'm just shocked how bad it is, right? Oh man. So it's just, yeah. Okay, let's get into it. All right. So so essentially, Jenny Halsey is an archaeologist. She's brought into Mesopotamia, and the site where Amenet is buried is a militarily fought over site. Okay, it's a military fought over site, and the way that that Vale, the sidekick, and Nick, the artifacts thief, dig up, or actually expose her tomb, is by bringing in a U.S. military airstrike, which creates a hole that allows them to descend down to the mummy's perfectly preserved tomb. I don't actually have any problem with that. I'm okay with that, right? And then the way they showed it made sense. And then go down, and so Jenny Halsey, Vale, and Nick all go down the hole to where the mummy is buried. The mummy's burial was awesome. It was so really well done, right? So they show these six jackal statues that are set up around her, not facing out to protect her from things coming in to disturb her, but facing in to keep her there, right? And the mummy is literally buried deep beneath the ground, and then in a pool of mercury. She's buried in a pool of mercury. It's awesome, man. It's just awesome. And she was lowered down there with these these ceremonially decorated chains, right? So now we get to see Jenny at work. So Jenny goes to work, and she's taking photographs, and she's studying the scene, and she's like, okay, I'm studying, and I know everything, and she talks about it, and she explains everything, says, this isn't a burial site, this is a prison for this woman, right? And she expresses, I'm super intelligent, and I am learned, and I am academically skilled, and I know what I'm talking about, right? But then, we've been told, you guys, all three of them, Vale, Nick, and Jenny have been told, you have 1 hour to get what you're going to get and bring it out, right? And so she's there, and she's like, well, I need more time, and she's not sure what to do, and she talks a lot, and she does nothing, right? Then they show Nick, and Nick doesn't say anything, looks at the situation, right? And then he takes out his gun and fires a single shot at one of the chains, which perfectly lifts the sarcophagus directly out of the mercury, and it's like gift wrapped, ready to be taken away, right? So they're saying, okay, this woman is a super skilled academic, right? Who's very smart, and she can sit in a situation, think about it, and do nothing and accomplish nothing. But this guy here, right, who we're not told he has any education whatsoever, right? I'm not, maybe there was. So we're told he can do more by looking at the situation and firing a single bullet than she can do, as a trained professional in her own career field. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, So the other thing is he is a thief, man. Boy, is this character a thief. And the biggest thing is he steals from women constantly. First thing in the film is they say, hey, he got romantically involved with this woman, tricked her, and then tricked her and stole her map. Now, there's a situation where, they're professionally trying to accomplish a goal, and he has stolen her dignity and stolen the spotlight and is about to steal and is here ready to steal the sarcophagus itself, right? They're constantly projecting to us that Vale, who's supposed to be a U.S. military soldier, is aiding this artifacts thief to steal an artifact from a woman who this is her field, right? I was just like, what is going on, right? So within the next 15 minutes, we're treated again to an absolute assault on the intelligence and the capability of Jenny Halsey's character, right? So at that point, they fly out, and the plane that they're flying out on breaks apart, right? And it's falling to the ground. And at that point, everybody's all upset, and everything's flying around the plane, and you have U.S. military soldiers, but they don't know what to do, right? And Jenny Halsey, she just starts screaming because she's a damsel in distress. That's her job in the film. And I'm like, this is 2017. Are you kidding me, right? Well, the artifact thief, Nick Morton, he's got his head on screwed on right, and he finds a backpack, or a parachute. He straps it on her, and he pushes her out of the plane, saving her life. And then he hurtles to the ground and is killed in the plane crash. Okay, and then the next thing we see, and so that's the first time that she is saved by Nick Morton, because she's incapable of collecting her wits and finding a parachute, right? When half the plane has been torn off, right? All right, so next thing we know is Nick Morton then is in the morgue, and he's got a toe tag on, and he realizes they thought he was dead, And then she is brought in to identify his body. And so, you know, and at that point it's determined that he is not dead. And then it's determined that, and so they both go to a bar and get drinks, right, together. And so actually I've reached 20 minutes and I've only covered I haven't even covered 3 other saving moments from Nick Morton. The way that women are portrayed in this film is so bad. I haven't seen anything like it since 1986 Cobra. And it really feels like a film that was made for 1986 in 2017. And that studio executives thought that the week after Wonder Woman, this was going to work. I barely, well, I've been speaking for 20 minutes, so I clearly know what to say, but I feel like I don't even know what to say. And I haven't even finished Jenny Halsey. I haven't even finished the problems with the character of Jenny Halsey. And I think the problems with Aminette, the mummy, are even worse. Thank you.